Hello, hello everybody. Shout out to McKnight, Jace, and tonight we're just going to talk about One Piece theory, which goes into the last chapter of One Piece, in which at the end the cliffhanger was the fleet was missing. The Seven Red Seas showed up to no fleet. They showed up to no ships except for the one little small boat that, of course, Inuwashi felt that it was a brave idea to try to take on his own. But we're going to focus on the possibilities of what happened to the fleet. We're going to focus on, in this theory, the people that could have had something to do with it. We're going to also focus on a couple of things that I think the One Piece community as a whole hasn't really talked about. So the first person we're going to talk about is Law. So Law has this ability, as we all know, for those who aren't new to One Piece, and for those who are, he has one of his abilities, which is Room. The last time we really saw Law use this ability was in his fight with Hawkins, which was in Wano, where he kept moving to different sides of Hawkins to do different sword strikes. The reason why this ability is dangerous and very broken is because anything within that sphere that Law creates is basically under his control. So Law would be one of the few people that we know for sure, if he sat there and concentrated enough, could make a spear big enough to possibly encompass the entire fleet and move it. The only problem with that would be why. You would have to fill in the why and where. Because yes, Law could make a decent sized spear, but then again, where would he put him? And what would he replace him with? To make it believable to Orochi and his henchmen when they showed up, that either they just left, they fled, or that an actual battle ensued. So that's why I just outright discount Law. The second person would be Frankie. People in the community basically came up with the idea that Frankie coded the ships and that they were basically transitioning to Onigashima, Kaido's island, underwater. The reason why I strongly disagree with that was just from the fact that I don't think that's a thing or a technique that Oda would hide from us when it comes to Frankie learning it. I think that would be something that Oda would have let us know. I know he off-screens a lot of things. I don't think that would be one of them. Because, I mean, to be honest, if I'm Luffy from here on out, I would spend a lot of time traveling underwater, especially considering that even though that crewmate's missing right now, Jinbei, and we'll get on that later, you have Jinbei. Jinbei is good at working underwater and underwater currents. You might find a couple poneglyphs down there that you don't know. Other nations, other different nationalities of fishermen down there that you don't know, and additional crew members. I think there's a lot of stuff under the water that's untouched that we just really don't know about, other than just the Sea Kings and the possibility to find and explore new things. They've been up in the air, they've been to all these different islands above land, but other than the one little voyage to where they went to the kingdom underwater, they haven't really spent much time there, and I think that would be a good idea if Oda wanted to flesh that out. But I don't think Frankie ever learned the technique of coding ships. Therefore, I honestly would just ixnay that period and just not even think about it. The next thing I was thinking of was the fact that Luffy doesn't really think anything out. It's very rare that he has a fully fleshed out plan. Luffy's idea of a plan is, this is where I want to go, and I'm going to just go there. I'm going to will my way through there with sheer luck, willpower, and brute strength. So in one of the previous chapters, I know it's the last phase of Wano, Act 2, Luffy left. I think it was 954. Luffy left to go get to Sunny. I don't remember us seeing many crew members going with him. We know Luffy is a terrible navigator. We know Luffy is terrible at plans, period. So the fact that we didn't really see many crew members leave with him should let you know that that's the plot thread that Oda's about to use. Luffy's clumsy. Luffy always gets into issues and fights. I mean, the last time we saw Luffy go off on his own, he ended up picking up Tama. He ended up getting in a fight, meeting Zoro, getting in another fight, and then losing Tama and getting in another fight. So the odds of Luffy going back and getting the Sunny and getting in a fight with somebody, perhaps King, who could be patrolling the air right now, who enjoys torture, perhaps another plot thread that hasn't come up in a while, the Big Mom fleet, which by now Big Mom could have communicated with her fleet via her hat, Napoleon. Now that she is back in her right mind, Napoleon can do all of his abilities, and I'm pretty sure he could communicate with the Big Mom ship, which is controlling her crewmates right now, to let them know, one, she's alive, that she's okay, two, of the alliance that they now have with Kaido, and then three, give them something to do, basically patrol the waterways. And I'm pretty sure they can split that up. You can have Big Mom on one side, and you can have King patrolling from the air on the opposite side. I think that is a huge possibility that Luffy, in the process of moving the Sunny to the new port, that he got into a fight with somebody at sea, and the fleet left to go rescue him. Because we know Luffy's clumsy, and it's a high possibility that that's what happened. To me, that's the one I'm leaning on the most. But then again, I wanted to use at least two more theories that I was thinking of. We haven't heard from Nekomamushi in a while, and we haven't heard from Marco. And we know that Marco had intel that he wanted Nekomamushi to give to Luffy. The reason why this is important is because it was about either Kaido or Kaido's army. And we have to factor in the fact that Marco was on Whitebeard's crew for a while. Whitebeard was seen as a very strong individual, and we really didn't see Kaido say anything but positive things about Whitebeard. We saw Kaido was willing to go to the Great War at Marineford, but he was stopped by Shanks. And I don't think he was going out of disrespect. I think he was just going because Kaido likes to fight. But I honestly don't think that Whitebeard, in his old, broken down state, would have turned down that fight. I think Kaido would have showed up somewhat out of respect, and honestly just showed up just to decimate the Marines and get some rocks off. Marco, but back on this topic, Marco would know a lot about Kaido's armies. He would know a lot about Kaido's weaknesses, and I honestly think that the message was about that. I think the intel that Marco was going to give to Luffy through Nekomamushi was about that. And who's to say that, one, he didn't show up with that information? Another intel plot would be the fact that now that you have X-Drake in the picture, feeding information to the Marines through Sword, as well as to Law. Law could use that information to make a better plan, and Law is a very good tactician when he's given time. Unlike Luffy, he doesn't just go head first into things. So that's another aspect. The third aspect that we don't talk about much is Robin, Nico Robin. Nico Robin has done a lot of snooping around on Kaido and his people. She's done a lot of snooping around on Kaido's army as well as Orochi. And she's been selective about the information that she lets out. The last thing we heard from Robin was the size of Kaido's army and the size of Orochi's army. We really didn't hear Robin go into detail about the different things that she's found since she's been on the ground as a geisha. Therefore, I think Robin was being, how would you say, she was controlling the information, and only letting it out for in a need to know basis for those people that needed to know. Therefore, I think Robin, who was also at Zoe when they were having those problems, is aware, maybe not who the traitor is, but that there is a traitor in the midst, and she's controlling that flow of information. Therefore, I wouldn't put anything past Robin being a part of the plan to move the fleet to a different location to catch whoever the traitor is off guard. And I don't think it's a traitor. I think it's traitors. I think it's more than one person, like two people working together. The last person that I would maybe want to think about is possibly Jinbei. Jinbei had his fleet. Jinbei and Watasumi, we haven't seen them. We haven't seen the fisherman pirates, since the end of the Big Mom arc, where Luffy and the crew were trying to escape her territory. Another big thing that we're talking about in Wano is the fact that Kato's men have 40,000 people, and Luffy, I think they have maybe 4,000. I think we have to retool the numbers. If Jinbei shows up with the fisherman pirates and the Grand Fleet shows up eventually, you're also eventually going to have Nekomamushi show up, and I believe due to the order that Whitebeard gave Luffy, that Whitebeard gave Marco and his entire crew before he died, which was to protect Luffy, and I think Marco also gave the crew that order to protect Luffy. The reason why that's important is because I think that's going to come back. I think Marco ends up rounding up all of the remnants of the Whitebeard crew, and I think they get pulled into this war as well, off of principle for protecting Luffy. Because if Luffy dies, they would have failed twice. Well, 3 times. You let Whitebeard die, you let Ace die, and now you let the person that Ace gave his life to protect die. And the honor that Marco moves with, I don't think Marco would just go out like that. So I find it very hard to believe that Marco wouldn't show up. And I know if Marco showed up, the remnants of what's ever left of the Whitebeard pirates and their allies would show up as well. So that's it for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about this information and giving my theory, just trying to get this information out before the chapter comes out. Please subscribe and listen. Please hit the bell and subscribe. Thank you for listening again. Jonathan McKnight, aka Jace, out.